All right, so covering from where we were with the curses of humanity. At the very close here, Genesis chapter 3, and then you have verse 20. So Adam named his wife Eve, so she was going about without a name at this time, because she would become the mother of all the living. Now, the Hebrew of the word, a little bit odd, so it's not like we have a good definition of it, because usually when you have so-and-so is named this because of that, usually you're like, oh yeah, well, this word actually means this. But Eve is a little bit off, so it could actually be the case that it's such an old form of Hebrew that the Hebrew that we have at the time of the rest of the writing of the Bible doesn't really cover this. But presumably, since he's naming his wife Eve because she would become the mother of all the living, that her name means life bearer or something of the sort. Yeah. And then we also have verse 21. The Lord God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. And like, oh. What is the first death that happened in the creation? Well, we could say the first spiritual death was Adam and Eve. However, they did not die physically, and this was a part of the discussion of, well, if God says, in the day of eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you will surely die. Well, yeah, they weren't struck down, say, like with a bolt of lightning, or the fruit itself wasn't, say, poisoned, so that they would just die right there. They died spiritually. They went against God. They removed their selves from his grace. Therefore, they could not live eternally without something of his. So God, what he's doing for them, like the actual first physical death, would be animals. So Adam and Eve did not die right away. God had a substitutionary atonement for them. Animals died. They were clothed with the hides of those animals, being covered by the animal's death. So the humans did not die right away because animals died for them. And this would be the general understanding of what we find with animal sacrifice in the Old Testament, except animal sacrifice in the Old Testament was looking more towards blood rather than hides. But at this time, since Adam and Eve are covering themselves with fig leaves, God is trying to cover them with something else. So they're trying to cover them with what they have dominion over, just the fruit, the leavings of the trees, whereas God is providing for them something beyond what they've already imagined, because they've never seen death before. Yeah. But at this time, we could also go like, okay, well, did God actually tan those hides? Probably not. They might actually be very bloody, so they could be covered with blood even then. So the idea of the blood, God says, life is in the blood. So if you shed the blood, then you're shedding life. And this is also why Hebrew people aren't allowed in Levitical commandments to consume blood, because all life belongs to God. You are not trying to consume life for yourself, steal the life of the animals or from human beings, God forbid. But all that is supposed to be given back to God. So if blood is sprinkled upon you, that life in the blood is given for exchange of your life. It is there to purify you. Yeah. Also interesting, we have Adam, and that means...
Well, it means man, but it also means like, it's related to like dirt or ground, if I recall.
Soil. So Adamah is
dirt, soil, or ground, or
dirt, earth. Well, I shouldn't say dirt. Dirt is
dust.
Loose. It would actually be closer to soil. Soil. So yeah, it's trying to give you the idea of potential for growth, potential for life. So this is going to be slightly confusing for us because it looks like it's different letters. It's actually not in the Hebrew. It's just different vowels in between the consonant letters, because Hebrew uses consonant letters and then all the vowels are implied. So the actual same consonants are here. Edom. Any guesses as to what that might mean? Blood red. And you also have Dom, not damn Dom, because this is a different vowel than that. Anyway, this is blood. So if you actually look, so Adam, Adamah, Dom, and then also related to Edom, because Edom would be a variation of this, so it's mixing blood with the idea of man. It's corresponding life and earthiness, the bodily nature of humanity in the world with blood. So usually I like to think of Adam here. We're talking about mankind. It's also bringing to mind fruitfulness of the soil, but also if you're thinking about fruitfulness of the soil being fruitful and multiplying, well, how about red soil, iron-rich soil? Of course, related to blood. So to be fruitful and multiply. Interesting. Okay. Now, verse 22, and the Lord God said, the man has now become like us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and also take from the tree of life and eat and live forever. Because if humanity reaches out their hand and live forever,
Stuck in sin forever.
yeah, exactly. They're going to be stuck in sin forever. That is their current state now, so they're going to be here now. So if you look into the New Testament, where they're talking about resurrection, like the common metaphors for it are agricultural, that you plant seeds and then they grow. There is a death. You are putting something in the grave, in the dirt, and from it sprouts a greater life than what was before, something much greater than the seed. So the idea of the resurrection is looking to renewal and growth and all these things that are coming from death. So death is but the beginning. But if you only have death, and then you just have this dry seed that can't really do anything. You need more. Okay. So the Lord God banished him from the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which he had been taken. So this is living out the curse. After he drove the man out, he placed on the east side of the Garden of Eden, I have to mispronounce, so cherubim. I would like to pronounce this the Hebrew way, which is cherubim, but people will get confused about that. Cherubim, and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. So Eden is barred forever now. Or so it seems, until we actually get a new tree of life, which so happens to be Jesus Christ's own tree. Yeah. In any case, man now has to live outside of salvation.